Judgment Day has come to New York and the progenitor has their sights set solely on Peter Parker. What will this mean for him? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 10 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so as I said in the beginning, this is a tie-in to the big Judgment Day event storyline. Haven't been reading it, well, allow me to give you the Cliff Notes version. Basically, in an attempt to stop a holy war between the Eternals and the newly immortal X-Men, Iron Man and the Avengers kinda sorta created a brand new celestial god, who, after only a couple minutes of being alive, decided that humanity totally sucked ass and that he was going to give everyone on the planet Earth 24 hours to prove themselves worthy, or he was going to end up destroying the entire world. And honestly, you know what? Mad relatable, bro. As Iron Man explains to Spider-Man, the progenitor, being an omnipotent being, can appear to anyone on Earth at any time in any form. Sometimes it chooses to look like itself, but other times it chooses to do the whole contact thing by taking the form of someone from your past solely to screw with you. And for Peter, the celestial god has opted to take the form of his lost first love, Gwen Stacy. Like everyone else on Earth, Peter isn't exactly sure what he's supposed to do to earn better judgment, but he doesn't have to think about it for that long because Randy Robertson comes to him saying that he needs help picking out a suit for his upcoming wedding to Beetle. Yes, not everyone is worried about the apocalyptic stakes taking place right now. I mean, it is the Marvel Universe. This isn't the first time the world has been threatened to come to an end, and as far as Randy and Janice are concerned, this is all going to work itself out, so they might as well concentrate on their wedding. In fact, Randy has probably one of the best, most profound explanations for why he doesn't care what the Celestial is doing right now, saying that it's an alien god, it's going to have its own weird criteria for morality, so why bother sweating it, right? And indeed, if you've been reading the main Judgment Day book, you'll know that the progenitor does have a real fractured sense of right and wrong, giving the thumbs up to characters that you never would have thought would have received one, and giving thumbs down to characters who have only been trying to help and do their best. For example, Captain America got a thumbs down because the celestial god thought he didn't do enough to try and make the world a better place despite living for longer than an average human, but Dr. Doom got a thumbs up just for sticking to his guns. Peter figures maybe he should use this 24 hours to get his affairs in order and spend some time with the people that he has been neglecting, and vice versa. Helping Randy with his suit certainly did seem like a good place to start, and the celestial god has yet to render its judgment upon him just yet. Next up is Aunt May, who we discover is also similarly not worried about the potential end of the world, mainly because the progenitor has chosen to take the form of Uncle Ben for her, and she's just kind of enjoying every moment she has. And I mean, come on, it's Aunt May. You'd have to be a pretty insane alien god to give her a thumbs down. Similar scenes play out for Peter involving Jonah as well as Miles. Triple J actually once again vehemently apologizes to Peter for a lifetime of mudslinging against him as Spider-Man, and Peter once again extends an olive branch of forgiveness to him. Peter says that he's grateful for getting to share the mantle of Spider-Man with such a special person like Miles. But perhaps most surprisingly of all, when Peter thinks that this really might be his last day on Earth, he even invokes Ben Reilly once again, a character who I think we all assumed Peter had forgotten given the way the last series had ended. But no, Peter still holds out hope that he can save Ben from himself one day and returns to their favorite perch in the city just to wait. No doubt because we're also setting up for the events of Dark Web, a big Spider-Man-centric crossover coming soon involving Ben. Now, Peter goes to bed that night, and still the Celestial has not rendered its verdict on Spider-Man, so much to the point he wakes up the next morning and has to go to work for Osborn. Yes, that's right, the end of the world could be happening any minute now, and Norman still doesn't give his employees a day off. Peter gets a fun little heart-to-heart with Kamala Khan. Only, oops, slight continuity problem. We see that Kamala has her own progenitor vision, this time as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, but she already dealt with that in the pages of the main Judgment Day book very quickly. Now, so far this story has been pretty breezy and inconsequential, but it's only right here at the very end do things start to get interesting. You see, Norman makes the scene, and Gwen as the progenitor sees him and flies away in anger, which understandably Peter clocks as very strange. This isn't supposed to be the real Gwen, but maybe the progenitor is drawing on old memories of her to create the illusion. Peter admits that on the surface it probably seems pretty strange that he would go and work with someone like Osborn, but it's here that he actually explains himself, and in doing so gives us maybe a tidbit of information about what went down with MJ in those missing 6 months. You see, as Peter explains, he lost someone very important to him. He wanted to try and get them back, but no one would agree with his tactics. No one but Norman Osborn. born. And perhaps that's why the progenitor chose to take the form of Gwen Stacy, because in many ways Spider-Man is still not over her death. It could have taken the form of Uncle Ben or Harry or his parents or any other number of people that Spider-Man has lost over the years, but maybe this is because Spider-Man needed to admit to Gwen and himself that working with Norman is his own way of trying to live by his famous credo of with great power comes great responsibility. He wants to make it so Norman never hurts anyone ever again. And watching him like this is the best way to do that, and apparently this little speech worked too, because the progenitor is finally ready to render its judgment, and guess what? Spider-Man passes with flying colors. Though, interestingly enough, the Celestial God actually has some choice parting words for him, saying that it has seen Peter's heart, that it is full and alive and open, and that it shines so brightly it often blinds and baffles other people, which, fair assessment. The Celestial also does something for Spider-Man that it hasn't done for anyone else yet, and that is actually gives him the parting gift of a few extra minutes with Gwen to say what he's always wanted to say to her. Their time together is sweet, but ultimately short and fleeting as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 10, everybody, and as far as tie-in issues go, this one was certainly worlds better than the previous one, and more timely too, which was nice. I certainly wasn't in love with the art for what it's worth. I had the distinct feeling that everyone, regardless of who they were drawn with the same face. I will say I certainly think Zeb Wells made a lot of the Judgment Day concept to try and tell an emotional and personal Spider-Man-centric story, even if it's one that does feel kind of familiar to other times that Spider-Man had to tie into big end-of-the-world events. Probably my favorite thing about this story is the return to dark gallows humor, something that Zeb Wells is uniquely gifted with, but something that he hasn't really been able to showcase in the last couple Spider-Man issues, unfortunately. We're also finally given some real tidbits to chew on about what exactly happened with Spider-Man and MJ in that missing 6 months. Apparently something went bad, Peter tried to fix it, and the only one who was willing to help him was Norman. Which, for those reasons alone, I think this tie-in ultimately becomes something of a must-read, if only if you're one of those people who are super invested in trying to decode whatever the big mystery is. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. Not the worst, not the best either, but certainly an improvement over the last issue.
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.